The winter of 1945. Europe was bleeding. Cities lay in ruins, and the German war machine was collapsing from within. Yet amid the chaos and defeat, one mystery began to surface, a mystery that would puzzle historians for decades to come. Entire convoys of Nazi soldiers. Trucks, tanks, weapons, even gold were vanishing without a trace. No reports, no survivors, no wreckage. Just silence. They called it the Vanishing Army. It all began in the snow-covered mountains of southern Germany. As Allied bombers tore through the skies and Soviet tanks crushed through the east, the remnants of Hitler's once mighty army began to retreat, not towards safety, but deeper into the unknown. Villagers spoke of endless lines of military trucks moving quietly through the night. Their lights blacked out, engines muffled, drivers silent. They carried something, or someone, of immense importance. And then, one day, they simply vanished. No one ever saw them again. Not the convoys, not the soldiers, not even the supplies. Only rumors remained, of secret bunkers carved deep beneath the mountains. These whispers reached Allied intelligence. British and American agents found fragments of coded messages describing a last operation, a mission so secret that even many within the Nazi command didn't know it existed. It was called Operation Eclipse. According to those intercepted documents, select divisions of the German army were ordered to transport strategic assets to a classified location and destroy all evidence of their existence. Gold, artwork, secret research files, and even prototypes of experimental weapons were loaded onto convoys that disappeared into the Bavarian Alps. When the war ended, and Allied forces pushed through southern Germany, they discovered miles of underground tunnels, bunkers, and railways, but none of the men or machines that entered those mountains were ever found. For years, this mystery was dismissed as myth, a ghost story for conspiracy theorists. But newly declassified archives from post-war intelligence tell another tale, one of obsession, secrecy, and fear. Eyewitness accounts from villagers recall the echo of engines rumbling through the forest long after Germany's surrender. Local miners discovered sealed entrances to underground facilities, with heavy steel doors welded shut. And when those tunnels were finally opened decades later, the air inside was still thick with diesel fumes, as if the engines had just stopped running. What were they hiding? Where were those soldiers going? And most importantly, what did they take with them into those cold, silent mountains? This was no ordinary retreat. This was a disappearance, engineered, organized, and buried beneath history itself. The truth of the Vanishing Army is not just a story about soldiers, It's about power, secrets, and a desperate regime trying to erase itself before the world could uncover what it had truly done. As Allied forces advanced across Europe, intelligence officers began to piece together fragments of a disturbing pattern. Entire Nazi divisions, once tracked on radar and ground reports, had simply vanished. The question was, where did they go? In the Bavarian Alps, near Berchtesgaden, Hitler's personal mountain retreat, strange movements were being reported. Villagers spoke of heavily guarded convoys traveling under the cover of night, escorted by SS officers who ordered locals to stay inside, windows shut, lights off. Those who dared to watch never spoke again. Among the most mysterious locations was a massive tunnel network codenamed Operation Riese, meaning giant. It stretched for miles under the Owl Mountains of Lower Silesia, and it was no ordinary bunker. Thousands of forced laborers from concentration camps had died constructing it, their bodies buried within the tunnels they built. But the real question wasn't how these tunnels were made. It was why they were made. Some historians believe the tunnels were designed to house secret weapons, Vita rockets, jet engines, maybe even nuclear research. Others say it was to hide the treasures of the Third Reich, stolen gold, priceless art, and secret documents that could expose Nazi collaborators worldwide. When the Soviet army arrived at the site in May 1945, the tunnels were empty. The machines were gone. The scientists had vanished. And deep inside, Soviet soldiers found nothing but silence and strange mechanical parts that no one could identify. British reports later described similar discoveries in Austria. Train carriages filled with empty crates, underground chambers with melted locks, and signs that entire laboratories had been evacuated within hours. But the strangest of all came from an American patrol near Lake Toplitz in Austria. According to their report, soldiers spotted a convoy of trucks heading into the forest just days before the German surrender. By the time reinforcements arrived, the trucks had disappeared. Divers later found wooden boxes at the bottom of the lake, filled with counterfeit British pounds and forged documents meant for a secret Nazi plan called Operation Bernhard. But witnesses insisted that wasn't all. They spoke of something larger, a massive convoy that continued past the lake, toward a region of hidden mountain passes. What it carried, no one could ever confirm. The Allies soon realized something chilling. This wasn't a random retreat. This was a coordinated exodus, a secret relocation effort organized by top Nazi officers, men who knew the war was lost but refused to surrender. Intelligence files later revealed that many of these officers had connections with underground escape routes that led to Spain, Argentina, and even the Middle East. Ships and submarines were reported leaving European ports long after Germany's defeat, carrying people, wealth, and technology that were never accounted for. As the dust of war settled across Europe, the world believed the Nazi regime had been completely crushed. But in the shadows, whispers continued. Whispers of hidden networks, secret safe houses, and a mysterious organization known only as Odessa. Odessa, short for Organisation der Emiligen SS Angehörigen, was rumored to be an underground escape network built by surviving SS officers. Its purpose was simple: to help high-ranking Nazis evade capture, disappear from Europe, and rebuild their power. From the ashes. In 1946, Allied intelligence intercepted coded messages between former SS members. These messages hinted at safe routes through Austria, into Italy, and finally toward Spain or Argentina. The operation was run like a ghost army. Documents forged, ships arranged, and identities erased. It was said that even within the Vatican, secret sympathizers assisted the process. Providing Red Cross travel papers and false baptism certificates. One of the most infamous figures to vanish this way was Adolf Eichmann, the architect of the Holocaust himself. For years, he lived quietly in Buenos Aires under a false name, until Israeli agents finally captured him in 1960. But Eichmann's case was just one name among hundreds. Some were scientists, others engineers, and a few were men who knew the deepest secrets of Hitler's weapons programs. These men didn't disappear without reason. They were being taken. Operation Paperclip, an American intelligence program, secretly recruited many of these German experts. They were offered new identities, new homes, and immunity from prosecution in exchange for their knowledge. Rocket engineers who once worked on V2 missiles. Soon became the backbone of America's space program. Men who once designed weapons of destruction were now building dreams of reaching the stars. But not all of them went to the United States. Many slipped into South America, to Argentina, Chile, and Brazil, where sympathetic governments offered refuge in exchange for gold, money, or scientific help. Entire German colonies were formed, hidden deep in forests and mountains. Locals would later report strange things. Men in SS uniforms seen in remote villages, German-speaking families who never interacted with outsiders, and facilities that looked more like military outposts than homes. One such place was Colonia Dignidad in Chile, a secretive German settlement surrounded by barbed wire and guarded gates. For decades, it was said to hide fugitives, weapons, and even secret experiments. Every attempt by investigators to uncover the truth ended in silence. Meanwhile, declassified Allied reports revealed something even more haunting. Some of the missing Nazi convoys from 1945 had indeed reached these safe zones. Trucks, crates, and cargo ships loaded with gold and classified material had vanished off record, only to reappear years later in private hands. Who financed this exodus? As the world entered the Cold War, the ghost of the Second World War refused to fade away. While nations rebuilt their cities and futures, another silent war began. A war fought in the shadows, through spies, secrets, and stolen science. Buried beneath layers of secrecy, the legacy of the Third Reich began to resurface. In laboratories, in government contracts, and in the hidden corners of power. By the late 1940s, both the United States and the Soviet Union were racing to seize every surviving fragment of Nazi intelligence. Every scientist, every document, every secret weapon became a prize in the global struggle for dominance. Many of the engineers once loyal to Hitler's war machine now found themselves working for new masters. Under Operation Paperclip, America absorbed hundreds of German specialists, men who once built the V2 rockets that terrorized London. Their new mission was to build the rockets that would reach the moon. Among them was Werner von Braun, a name that would echo in both war and peace. He had once led the design of Nazi Germany's missile programs, and now he became a key architect of NASA's Apollo missions. The same man who once engineered weapons of fear. Was now celebrated as a visionary of space exploration. But not everyone was building dreams. Some were still haunted by their past. Others continued to hide, living behind false identities, their crimes buried by political convenience. In South America, traces of the vanished Nazi network continued to appear. Hidden mansions, secret airstrips, and underground complexes hinted at something bigger. a global web of protection that stretched far beyond what the world imagined. Intelligence reports from the early 1950s describe secret shipments of gold and military blueprints moving across the Atlantic, ships with false flags, crews that disappeared after docking, and crates that were never recorded on any manifest. Where did they go? And what exactly were they carrying? Some historians believe that these materials formed the foundation of several post-war technologies: jet propulsion, nuclear research, and even early computer systems. The question remains, how much of our modern world was built from the ashes of war? In Germany, ruins were rebuilt, but deep beneath the ground, tunnels and bunkers were sealed shut. Inside them lay machinery, files, and prototypes, evidence of experiments that were never meant to be found. Local legends spoke of engineers who returned at night, entering the mountains with flashlights, and vanishing again before dawn. By the mid-1950s, whispers of a Fourth Reich began to circulate, a secret ideological movement aimed at reviving the power of the old regime. Pamphlets, coded letters, and radio broadcasts hinted at coordination across continents. Was it just rumor, or the quiet rebirth of an idea thought long dead? To this day, many of these mysteries remain unsolved, documents declassified decades later. As the years passed, the world tried to move on. New alliances were formed, new enemies were named, but the shadows of the Second World War continued to stretch across generations. The survivors aged, their memories fading like old photographs. Yet, deep in the archives and ruins of forgotten bunkers, history remained alive, waiting for those brave enough to uncover it. In 1964, a group of explorers in southern Germany stumbled upon a sealed tunnel beneath a collapsed factory site. Inside, they found rusted steel doors, scattered documents stamped with the insignia of the SS, and blueprints marked only with one word: Riese. The discovery reignited an old question: what exactly was the Third Reich building beneath the mountains? As investigators dug deeper, they realized this was no ordinary bunker. Massive chambers, ventilation shafts, and power conduits stretched for miles beneath the earth, evidence of an underground industrial complex, far larger than anyone had imagined. Some believed it was meant for secret weapons production. Others claimed it was designed as a refuge for Hitler himself. But there was something else. Markings on the walls, mathematical equations, and strange inscriptions that no one could explain. By the 1970s, reports of hidden Nazi artifacts began surfacing across Europe. Sealed crates unearthed from rivers and forests, filled with uniforms, insignias, and sometimes something far more disturbing. In one discovery, a series of reels were recovered. Film footage showing experiments never seen before. Silent black and white images of tunnels, unknown machinery, and figures wearing gas masks. The footage lasted only a few minutes, before abruptly cutting to darkness. Many historians dismissed it as propaganda or forgery, but others believed it was real, a glimpse into the final, desperate projects of the collapsing Reich. Meanwhile, governments quietly began restricting access to certain wartime archives. Entire collections of documents were reclassified or sealed indefinitely. Why? After decades of peace, would these records still remain hidden? Some say the answer lies not in what the Nazis did, but in what they discovered. Technology, medicine, even atomic theory. Many of their breakthroughs seemed decades ahead of their time. Were these advances purely scientific, or did they come from something else, something the world wasn't ready to understand? In the decades that followed, expeditions continued into the forgotten tunnels of Europe. Teams found incomplete blueprints, unexplained power systems, and chambers that appeared deliberately flooded or collapsed. Whatever had been built there, someone wanted it erased forever. Today, historians and investigators still search for the truth behind these underground worlds. Every discovery brings more questions. Was the Vanishing Army truly destroyed, or did it simply go deeper underground? Were these tunnels just bunkers,